What if Yoda took Anakin Skywalker to the cave on Dagobah after learning about his nightmares? That's what we're going to go over today. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. Our story begins as Anakin Skywalker is entering Yoda's quarters to speak with the ancient Jedi Master. It was early in the morning, and Anakin did not sleep well at all the night before. He was awoken in the middle of the night by a nightmare or vision of some sort. In this nightmare, Anakin saw Padme crying, screaming out for help, but Anakin was nowhere to be found in this nightmare. He didn't see much else, but it was clear what happened in the end. Padme dies in childbirth, and he was not there to save her. Anakin would not let these dreams come true, but he also could not tell Yoda exactly what these dreams were about, in fear of being exiled from the Order for having a secret wife. It was a terribly stressful situation to be in, but Anakin needed guidance. Yoda was the wisest of the Jedi, so perhaps he had some way to help Anakin. The young Jedi Knight sat across the old Jedi Grand Master, and he began describing his nightmares as vaguely as possible. Anakin told Yoda that his dreams were of pain, suffering, death, and that they were of someone close to him. Both Anakin and Yoda were silent for a moment, and Anakin had to hope that Yoda thought he was talking about Obi-Wan. That was close enough after all, but Yoda told Anakin what he already knew, that the fear of loss is a path to the dark side, that Anakin must train himself to let go of all that he fears to lose. And upon hearing this, Anakin knew the sad truth about the Jedi. Perhaps they could not help him. Yoda could not help him. But Anakin was not about to give up. He needed Yoda to understand how dire this situation was for him. So Anakin looked into Yoda's eyes and really told him that he would do anything to stop these dreams from coming true. Anything. And something in Yoda seemed to click. For the past few weeks, he'd wondered more and more about Sidious, what his plans were, and worse, if they involved Skywalker somehow. Yoda wondered if Sidious even knew about Skywalker, and Yoda decided that of course he did. What better way to ensure total victory than by killing or corrupting the Chosen One? The Sith had to be aware of Skywalker, and Yoda had asked himself how he would react when they finally tried to ensnare him. Well, perhaps, Yoda thought, it is time to answer that question for himself. He looked at Skywalker with kind but worried eyes, and he told him that he understands. Anakin showed a clear sigh of relief, as he was finally getting somewhere. Throughout the last few months, Yoda had a vision of a cave on Dagobah, and then he was even called to that cave by the voice of Qui-Gon Jinn himself. Yoda hadn't really disclosed much about his journey to the swamp planet, but perhaps it was time he send another Jedi there. In his original vision, he saw a different timeline where Qui-Gon Jinn survived the Battle of Naboo and became Anakin's master. During the vision, Yoda also saw Qui-Gon guide Anakin into the cave, and now Yoda understood. Without Qui-Gon truly around, the responsibility to guide Anakin to the cave was up to Yoda. Yoda told Anakin they would be traveling on a mission together, a mission to find clarity through all of this, and perhaps in the end, they also may find the identity of the Sith Lord. Anakin thanked Yoda for helping him, and the two of them prepared to leave Coruscant. Yoda spoke to the Jedi Council then, informing them that he and Skywalker were off on a mission guided by the Force. The Council knew the war was likely in its final weeks, and they would miss Yoda and Skywalker on Coruscant, but they trusted Yoda to do what was necessary, so they wished him the best of luck on their journey together. And so together now, Yoda and Anakin boarded a Jedi starship that fit the both of them, taking off for Dagobah. All of this took place at seemingly the perfect time for the Jedi, while being the worst time for the Sith. No one told Palpatine about this mission between Skywalker and Yoda, so Palpatine was obviously extremely frustrated when he learned Anakin was going to be away for a while on Jedi business with Yoda. He planned to push Anakin further into the dark side with more nightmares, then continue to divide him from the Jedi Council, so when the decisive moment came, Anakin would choose the Sith over the Jedi. His plans could not be delayed much longer either. Grievous and the Separatist Council was on Utapau, and it was only a matter of time until they are found and destroyed. And so Palpatine knew that if the opportunity presented itself, Order 66 would have to be executed, without Anakin on Coruscant. In time, Yoda and Anakin would arrive on Dagobah and use the Force, along with R2-D2, to bring them through the thick Dagobah fog, landing just outside of a pond that most likely had some dangerous creatures deep inside of it. Once they landed, Yoda chuckled as Anakin sighed in disgust, saying at least it's not sand, and together, the two of them began walking through the murky planet, feeling the call of the cave. It was shrouded in darkness, and could most likely mask the light of both of them, making it a truly excellent hiding spot for a Jedi. As they trudged through the land, Yoda wondered if Qui-Gon would be appearing, though he thought it would be unlikely. Yoda was guiding Anakin now, just as Qui-Gon guided Yoda here earlier in the war. And eventually Yoda saw the cave. When he once entered, he saw vague visions of the fall of the Jedi Order, along with the rise of Darth Sidious. Now, perhaps Anakin has answers as how to avoid it all, and so Yoda instructed Anakin to enter the cave. Anakin hesitated, asking what it is he will find, what it is that is in there, and Yoda said that only what Anakin takes with him will he find. That was, per usual with Yoda, not an actual answer, but Anakin entered anyway, feeling the darkness of the cave surrounding him. And across the galaxy, Republic spies found General Grievous on Utapau. Obi-Wan was dispatched there, while some time ago Saesee Tiin was dispatched to Kashyyyk. The Jedi Council presence on Coruscant was getting thinner and thinner every day, and Sidious knew the time to execute Order 66 was near. Back inside of the Dagobah cave, Anakin went deeper and deeper, not seeing or hearing anything for a long time, aside from the disgusting creatures slithering all around him. The more he went in, the more he wondered if Yoda had lost his mind or something. He was finding nothing. But he needed answers to save Padme, and this was his best option so far, so Anakin continued onward. After a bit, Anakin turned a corner and saw something that truly shocked him. Padme? It was her, and she was being lifted off of her feet, choking in the air. Anakin ran to help her, but she dropped to the ground, going unconscious. Anakin turned to see who did this, but he saw nobody. Instead, he heard loud, metallic breathing. Anakin continued running now, and suddenly heard screams, blaster shots, lightsabers clashing, and around a new corner, Anakin saw younglings be cut down, one by one without mercy. Anakin tried once more to make out who was doing this, but only saw a shadow, and heard the mechanical breathing again. Anakin felt his fear grow as he continued on, seeing the shadow cut down Mace Windu, then battle Obi-Wan. It was blurry but clear, and it made no sense. Who could be this evil? And finally, Anakin turned a final corner to find the man who was breathing so loudly. This machine was tall and brooding, and ignited a blood-red lightsaber, the Sith Lord. Behind him were the bodies of Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Padme, Windu, Yoda, Rex, and so many other friends. This made Anakin beyond angry, and he swung on the Sith Lord, clashing lightsabers a few times, before cutting his head off. The head rolled to the ground, and inside the helmet, Anakin now saw what looked like himself, only burned and destroyed with yellow eyes. It couldn't be. He could never do this to his friends. But now laughter echoed through the cave, and Anakin felt his fear rise so much until he remembered what Yoda said. Everything Anakin finds in here is what he takes with him, and Anakin knew now that he was seeing some twisted version of the future. And so he closed his eyes, cutting off the darkness around him, then taking a seat on the ground. He would use this darkness against itself. So Anakin dove deep into meditation, finding this darkness, tracing it back now to its source. This wasn't all about him. It couldn't be. There had to be someone else behind all of this, and so Anakin traced the darkness through space and time, finding Coruscant, then finding the industrial sector, and then finding a hidden building deep inside of the sector. And inside of this building was a hooded man, pouring Sith lightning into some sort of cauldron. Anakin traced the darkness a bit further, using all of his power to find the source, and now heard echoes of a new voice, the voice of Palpatine, and he said, "You must choose, Anakin." And now Anakin understood. Palpatine is the Sith Lord, and he is influencing him to have these nightmares. Upon this realization, Anakin's mind could not take this any longer, and he went unconscious, collapsing to the ground. On Coruscant, Sidious felt this disturbance. Something was happening. The Force was trying to stop him from taking over. and he simply could not let this happen, and so he decided it was time. At this moment, Sidious walked to his communicator, turning it on for clones all around the galaxy, telling them to execute Order 66. And across the galaxy, Jedi died in seconds. Inside of the Jedi Temple, Sidious went in himself, leading the 501st Legion and Coruscant Guard into the temple. It was a massacre. Very few survived. Among the casualties were Windu, Fisto, Shakti, Agen Kolar, so many other masters, knights, younglings, and the masters did put up a fight, but even Windu couldn't take on both Sidious and the countless clones at one time. And on Dagobah, Anakin woke up now outside of the cave next to Yoda. The Grand Master went in and got Anakin, and as Anakin woke up, he could feel the darkness in the Force, and it wasn't just coming from the cave any longer. Yoda said he felt it as well, telling Skywalker that whatever he saw in the cave had set off the Sith Lord, and it seems that he has executed his grand plan. Yoda continued, saying that perhaps there was no way to avoid this, but there is a way to stop the Sith from taking over the galaxy. Anakin nodded, telling Yoda that they will do it together, and the Sith Lord has been in front of them this whole time, Palpatine, and because of what Anakin saw in the cave, he had no conflict as to what he must do next: destroy the Sith. On Coruscant, Darth Sidious was underneath the Senate chambers. In a few minutes, he would rise on the center pod, proclaim himself as Emperor of the Galaxy. Everything was going according to his plans, but there was still one thing really haunting him. When Order 66 went off, he never received any sort of report about Anakin or Yoda. Wherever they were, the clones had not found them, and that was indeed worrying. And right as the floor began to open for Sidious to proclaim himself as Emperor, he felt something at the door. His royal guards were slammed to the floor, and Sidious turned to see Yoda, Anakin, and Obi-Wan. Yoda and Anakin had found Obi-Wan on their way to Coruscant, and Obi-Wan helped catch them up on everything. And of course this was the trio that survived it all. Perhaps worst of all, they showed up as the floor opened. The three Jedi ignited their lightsabers, sprinting towards Sidious, giving him just one option: fight, show the Senate who he truly is. The duel unfolded amidst the circular rows of the Senate pods, where startled senators witnessed this clash between Jedi and Sith. Anakin, with no hint of dark side conflict, fought alongside Obi-Wan and Yoda, and as the lightsabers ignited and fought against each other, they casted vibrant hues of blue, green, and red across the vast chamber. The combatants moved with incredible speed. Sidious, a master of the dark side, unleashed torrents of Sith lightning, attempting to overwhelm the Jedi trio, and Yoda gracefully deflected the lightning with his saber, while Anakin and Obi-Wan skillfully maneuvered to counter the Sith Lord's attacks as well. Sidious wanted to get away and order the clones to execute all of the senators, but the three Jedi were simply not letting him escape. And Darth Sidious, fueled by the dark side, now responded with ferocity. The clash of their lightsabers reverberated through the Senate chamber, and the powerful Force users manipulated the environment around them. And now empty Senate pods floated in the air as the combatants deftly leaped from platform to platform, throwing them at each other. The senators, initially paralyzed by shock, were now evacuating in a panic. The fate of the galaxy was hanging in the balance, and the Jedi fought not only for their lives, but for peace in the galaxy. Sidious moved through the Senate building, trying to outmaneuver the Jedi, trying to get to his clones, but he could only do it for so long. Yoda finally caught up to him, dislodging his lightsaber, allowing for Anakin and Obi-Wan to flank him from behind, and stab the Sith Lord through the heart. With a gasp, Sidious died, and his body fell forever to the floor below them, landing with a thud. From here, the senators would slowly make their way back in and collectively order the clones to stand down against the Jedi. With Palpatine dead, the clones were forced to listen or be arrested for treason, and the senators would listen as the Jedi described what Sidious truly was: a Sith Lord controlling both sides of the war. The Empire was never established, so from here, a new election for Chancellor would begin as the war effort was finally wrapped up. The Jedi Order was decimated to around 100 members now, but they were able to safely return to Coruscant, and in time, they would rebuild, and the core of the Order would be Anakin and Padme's children, Luke, and Leia. And folks, that's where our story ends today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments. I really wanted to do something with Anakin and Yoda. Always enjoy that little duo, as I think there was just more potential there. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought. I like the idea of going to Dagobah. The story kind of changed for me in the middle. Initially, it was going to be Anakin kind of going off somewhere by himself, but I saw this opportunity kind of writing halfway through and said, alright, let's do Anakin and Yoda together. But let me know what you thought. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.